Imagine walking alone at night, when the world suddenly feels silent in a way you can't explain, like reality itself is holding its breath. You look up, and the stars seem closer than they should be, almost as if they're observing you. Then, the air trembles, space bends. A doorway of swirling electric purple light forms in front of you, floating in the darkness, humming with an ancient energy that feels both foreign and strangely familiar. You feel pulled toward it, not by force, but by recognition, as if some forgotten part of you has been waiting for this moment. The closer you move, the quieter your thoughts become. Your identity begins to soften, and a simple truth whispers within you. This gate is not outside you. It has always lived within your awareness. It is the boundary between the limited self you think you are and the infinite consciousness you truly are. Your heartbeat aligns with something vast and timeless. Space and time begin to dissolve. You are no longer a person approaching a doorway. You are awareness meeting itself. You know the moment you cross, everything you believed about existence will fall away, yet every cell in your being urges you forward. This is where mind and universe become one. This is the forbidden gate. The question is not whether it exists. The question is, will you step through? The gate is not out there. It is inside you. Most people spend their entire lives searching outward toward stars, planets, holy sites, temples, rituals, and distant philosophies, convinced that the secret to existence is hidden somewhere outside their physical reach. They believe that enlightenment is found in a faraway mountain, a special text, a sacred guru, or in some place beyond their everyday world. But the truth is far simpler and far more shocking than anything written on ancient stone or buried in forgotten temples. The Forbidden Gate does not exist somewhere in the universe waiting to be discovered. It lives quietly at the core of your own awareness. It has been with you since the moment you took your first breath. You carry it everywhere, yet most never notice it, because the world teaches us to look outward instead of inward. This gate is not a physical doorway made of wood or stone. It is a delicate and invisible boundary inside you, a threshold between the identity you were taught to believe in and the unlimited consciousness that you truly are. On one side is the conditioned self, the personality shaped by your culture, your past, your fears, your memories, your habits, and every label you have ever accepted about who you think you are. On the other side is your true self, vast, limitless, eternal awareness connected to the entire universe. When you cross this inner boundary, everything you once thought was real begins to dissolve, and something far greater emerges. But this gate only becomes visible when the noise inside your mind begins to quiet. We spend most of our time drowning in thoughts, worrying about the past, stressing about the future, judging ourselves, comparing, reacting, and constantly trying to control life. As long as this mental noise continues, the gate remains hidden behind the fog. When the thoughts settle and you stop identifying so strongly with the body, when you realize you are not just flesh, emotion, or memory, a new kind of inner space opens. This space feels impossibly vast, like stepping into a sky inside yourself. It is still, silent, yet full of unbelievable depth. In that space, the boundaries of your physical identity begin to dissolve. This is the doorway into the quantum field, the infinite ocean of pure potential, where past, present, and future exist all at once. It is a place where nothing is solid, nothing is fixed, and everything is possible. You do not travel to this gate with your feet. You do not reach it through distance. You do not fly or climb or struggle to get there. Instead, you fall inward, like sinking beneath the surface of your own awareness. You go deeper into yourself than you have ever gone before, not with force, but with surrender. Every spiritual tradition, when stripped of symbolism, points toward this same discovery. When scriptures say, "The kingdom is within," they are not speaking poetically. They are instructing you to turn inward. When ancient teachings say God is closer than your jugular vein, they are telling you that the ultimate truth is not separate from your being. When mystics say reality emerges from consciousness, they are revealing that the universe itself is born from awareness. These are not metaphors or comforting stories. They are literal truths pointing directly at the same inner gate. The moment you realize your identity is not the story you tell about yourself, not the name you carry, not your past, not your memories, not your appearance, and not even the thoughts passing through your mind, something extraordinary happens. The false self, the mask you have worn your entire life, begins to fade. Beneath it, you discover that your real nature is pure awareness, untouched by time, fear, or limitation. And as this realization becomes clearer, the forbidden gate begins to reveal itself not as something you must reach, but as something you already are. The barrier is the mind that thinks it is separate. The single greatest obstacle between you and the forbidden gate is not distance, intelligence, education, or spiritual background. It is the deeply rooted belief that you are separate from the universe, that you are an isolated individual living inside a world that exists outside of you. This belief is the invisible wall that prevents most people from ever realizing their true nature. It is not a physical wall. No one can see it or touch it, but it is powerful enough to shape your entire reality. It lives in your mind as a quiet assumption that you never question. From the moment you are born, you are taught to see yourself as a separate person with a name, a body, a nationality, a culture, a past, and a future. You are told, you are this, and the world is out there. As you grow, every experience reinforces this idea. You learn to say I about your thoughts and feelings, and you assume that voice in your head is who you truly are. But that voice is simply the narrator, the commentary produced by the conditioned mind. It convinces you that you are small, limited, vulnerable, and incomplete, and that you must spend your life seeking fulfillment from outside sources, success, approval, wealth, relationships, achievements to feel whole. This illusion becomes so strong that most people live their entire lives without ever questioning it. This inner dialogue is the lock on the forbidden gate. It keeps you trapped inside a small identity that believes it is separate from everything else. That sense of separateness is the root of fear, anxiety, loneliness, and suffering. When you think you are alone in the universe, every challenge feels threatening. When you believe life is happening to you, every event feels personal. When you identify with the body, you fear loss, aging, decay, and death. All of this springs from the same illusion, the belief in separation. But the moment you start to observe the mind instead of being controlled by it, cracks begin to appear in the wall. You notice that thoughts come and go on their own. You are able to watch your thoughts from a distance without being pulled into their stories. This is the first sign that you are more than the mind. The thoughts continue, but suddenly, they no longer define you. You start to understand that the mind is simply a tool, an instrument that analyzes, remembers, and plans, but it is not the essence of who you are. When you stop clinging to every belief, every fear, every assumption about yourself, the illusion of separation weakens. The you that feels small begins to dissolve, and the deeper, vast consciousness beneath it starts to shine through. You realize that your awareness is not limited to your skull. It stretches beyond the body, blending with the space around you. The boundary between me and not me begins to blur. You start feeling a strange familiarity with everything: nature, silence, other people, even the empty space in the room. You are not becoming connected. You are rediscovering a connection that was always there. This is how the forbidden gate opens, not through force or effort, but through the gentle collapse of the belief that you are alone. The moment the separate self drops away, the universe rushes in. The gate reveals itself when the mind stops insisting that it is the center of existence, when the ego loosens its grip, when identity becomes fluid, when the sense of I am a separate person dissolves, something extraordinary begins to unfold. A vast intelligence, silent but infinite, becomes available. It is not new, it was always there, hidden behind the noise of the mind. The barrier was never physical. It was never distance. It was never lack of ability. The only thing that separated you from the universe was the belief that you were separate. Once that belief dissolves, the gate opens effortlessly. When the me disappears, awareness expands. When awareness expands, The universe is no longer something you observe. It becomes something you are. This is the moment consciousness begins to awaken to itself. The seeker and the destination merge. The observer and the observed become one, and the forbidden gate, once invisible, becomes unmistakably clear. The quantum field is the real you. To understand the forbidden gate, you must first understand what you truly are at the deepest level. For most of your life, you have been taught to believe that you are a physical body, a collection of flesh, bones, nerves, and organs, living in a solid, material universe. But modern physics and ancient spiritual wisdom now agree on something astonishing. What you call matter is mostly empty space, and the physical world you experience is not as solid as it seems. Beneath everything, beneath skin, beneath atoms, beneath thoughts, there is only energy vibrating in an endless sea of possibility. That sea is known as the quantum field. When scientists look deeply into the structure of the atom, they find that it is not made of solid particles. Instead, it is more than 99.999999% empty space. The remaining fraction is not even truly solid. It is energy appearing as particles only when measured or observed. This means the world you touch, see, and experience is not a solid, fixed thing. Rather, it is a fluid, dynamic expression of invisible energy that responds to observation. This is not spiritual poetry. This is quantum physics. In the quantum world, particles do not exist in a fixed place or form until consciousness interacts with them. Before observation, they exist only as probabilities, countless potential states waiting to become real. This strange phenomenon suggests something revolutionary. Consciousness shapes reality. The act of observing doesn't just reveal what is there, it helps determine what becomes real. Your awareness is not a passive witness. It is an active participant in the creation of your experience. This quantum field is not separate from you. It is not around you, it is you. The atoms that make up your brain, blood, and bones are temporary structures borrowed from this infinite ocean of energy. They form your body for a time, then return to the field. But the awareness that knows this body, the consciousness that observes your thoughts, emotions, and sensations is made of the same intelligent fabric that forms the universe. This is why sages have always said that we are not in the universe. Rather, the universe is within us. You are not a person inside a gigantic universe. You are the universe expressing itself in the form of a person. When you stand before the forbidden gate, this truth begins to reveal itself. You feel a sense of expansion, as if your consciousness is no longer confined to your skull. You sense that your awareness is intimately entangled with everything: the air around you, the stars above, the people you meet, the thoughts you think. The separation you once believed in begins to fade, and you recognize that the same energy flowing through galaxies is flowing through you. You are not a fragment. You are the whole, appearing as an individual expression. This realization is not just intellectual, it is experiential. You begin to feel that life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. You are not a small being trying to survive in a vast universe. You are the vastness itself, momentarily experiencing life as a human. The body becomes a doorway rather than a prison. The mind becomes a tool rather than a master. You start to see that your thoughts and emotions are not who you are. They are ripples passing across the surface of your consciousness. When you understand yourself as the quantum field, fear weakens. How can something made of infinite energy truly die? The physical form changes, but the awareness behind it remains untouched. Connection becomes natural because everything around you is made of the same substance. You begin to sense that every person, every animal, every tree, every star is another expression of the same field of consciousness, wearing a different shape. There is no other, only different faces of the same existence. This is why mystics have always spoken of oneness. They were not trying to be poetic, they were trying to describe a literal truth. Everything is connected at the deepest level. The fabric of the universe is one continuous field, and your awareness is a direct extension of it. When you meditate, when you become still, when your identity softens, you begin to feel this connection. The boundaries between yourself and the world become thinner, softer, more transparent, and then you realize that you were never separate at all. The quantum field is the real you, the eternal, boundless ocean of consciousness from which all forms arise. The body is temporary, the personality is temporary, the memories are temporary, but the awareness behind them is timeless. Once you recognize this, you no longer fear change, loss, or uncertainty. You understand that you were never just a character in the story, you were the storyteller all along. This is the essence of the Forbidden Gate. It does not lead you to another world. It reveals the truth of the one you are already in. It shows you that the universe is not something outside to explore, it is something inside to remember. And when you remember, the gate opens. Time and space collapse. When you cross the gate, stepping through the Forbidden Gate is not like walking into a new room or traveling to another planet. It is an inner shift so profound that your entire experience of reality begins to change. The moment you cross this threshold, the familiar structure of time and space, the two forces you once believed governed your life, begin to dissolve. They no longer feel like rigid walls containing your existence. Instead, they reveal themselves as flexible, fluid, and deeply connected to consciousness. In everyday life, time feels like a straight line, a continuous sequence of moments moving from past to present to future. You remember what has happened, you live in what is happening, and you anticipate what is yet to come. This linear perception feels so natural that you never question it. But when the mind becomes still enough to enter the gate, this entire structure begins to unravel. The past no longer feels distant. The future no longer feels separate. Everything appears to be happening at once, inside a single, timeless now. This is because time is not an independent force. It is a mental construct, a way for the brain to organize experience. In the quantum field, where everything is energy existing in pure potential, there is no past or future, there is only presence. When you enter that state of pure presence, thoughts about what was or what will be lose their power. You are no longer pulled by regret or pushed by expectation. You simply exist, fully aware, without needing time to define your experience. The same happens with space. Normally, you feel that objects are separated by distance, that the body is here, the mountain is there, the stars are far away. But this separation is only a perception created by the senses. At the deepest level, space is just another expression of energy, and all energy is connected. When you cross the Forbidden Gate, you begin to sense that everything shares the same essence. You do not feel like a point inside space. You feel like space itself, infinite, open, without edges. This is why mystics describe experiences where they feel expanded beyond the body, as though their awareness stretches across oceans, land, and sky. It is not imagination. It is a recognition that the true self is not confined by skin or limited to a location. When the illusion of separation fades, so does the illusion of distance. Everything is here. Everything is now. There is nowhere to go because you are already everywhere, expressed through different forms. In this state, your sense of identity shifts dramatically. You are no longer a person observing the universe. You are the universe observing itself. You begin to feel that you are both the observer and the observed, the one who sees and the thing being seen. This dissolves the boundary between self and world. You are no longer inside reality. Reality is inside you. The collapse of time and space also changes your relationship with life. You start to understand that events are not random or separate. They are interconnected expressions of the same intelligence. You see patterns where before there was chaos. Experiences that once seemed disconnected now feel woven together by an invisible thread. You realize that what you seek is already seeking you, because both are arising from the same field of consciousness. And this realization brings a deep sense of peace. There is no rush, because nothing is running out. There is no fear, because nothing can truly be lost. There is no longing, because everything already exists within you. People who glimpse this state often describe an overwhelming sense of familiarity, as if they are remembering something they have always known. It feels like returning home not to a place, but to a truth. Time becomes circular, space becomes fluid, and life becomes a continuous unfolding moment rather than a sequence of separate events. In this timeless awareness, the question of beginnings and endings fades. Birth and death lose their meaning because the consciousness behind them does not begin or end. It simply changes form, like water, becoming cloud, rain, river, and sea, always different, yet always the same. Once you see this directly, fear weakens. The unknown no longer feels threatening because you recognize that you are the unknown, vast, limitless, and eternal. This is why the great sages and enlightened masters spoke with such calm certainty. They were not guessing or believing, they were describing what they had directly experienced behind the forbidden gate. For them, time and space are tools, not prisons. They use the body and the world, but they are not bound by them. They live in the world while knowing they are beyond it. Crossing the gate does not remove you from everyday life. You still move, breathe, speak, and interact. But inwardly, everything feels different. You experience life as a seamless flow, not as a struggle against external forces. You stop trying to control everything, because you realize you are part of the intelligence that is doing the controlling. When time and space collapse, you discover the deeper truth that consciousness is the foundation and everything else is a temporary expression. This is the essence of the gate. It frees you from the illusion that you are confined by the physical world. It reveals that you have always been more than the body, more than the personality, more than the past you remember or the future you imagine. You are the timeless awareness in which all of it appears. Once you recognize this, you do not just witness life, you become life itself. Pain, fear, and desire lose their power. When you reach the forbidden gate and begin to step through it, one of the first transformations you notice is the quiet, almost effortless collapse of emotional suffering. The fears that once ruled your life, the regrets that followed you like shadows, and the desires that constantly pulled you forward or pushed you back begin to lose their dominance. It is not that life suddenly becomes perfect or challenge-free, rather, your relationship with these experiences changes so deeply that they can no longer control you. You begin to see them as temporary waves on the surface of a vast ocean, rather than as forces that define who you are. Throughout life, most people live as if they are inside a storm, believing every emotion that rises is deeply personal. When fear appears, they think, "I am afraid." When sadness arrives, they think, "I am sad." When anger burns, they think, "I am angry." Every emotion becomes a label, and every label becomes an identity. This entanglement is what makes suffering feel so heavy. But when you grow still enough to approach the gate, a subtle shift occurs. You begin to notice that emotions do not arise inside a person, they arise inside awareness. You are not the emotion, you are the witness of it. And this realization changes everything. Fear, for example, is no longer experienced as a threat. It might still appear as sensations in the body, as thoughts in the mind, but it no longer feels like an enemy. Instead of being swallowed by it, you simply observe it as energy passing through your field of consciousness. You notice how it grows, peaks, and dissolves. You begin to see that fear has no real power unless you believe the story behind it. Without that belief, fear is just movement, like wind passing through a forest. It may shake the leaves, but it cannot uproot the tree. The same is true for pain. Physical or emotional pain may still arise, but it is no longer experienced as an attack. You recognize it as part of the body's temporary experience, rather than as a fundamental wound to your identity. You no longer say, "I am in pain." Instead, you naturally understand, pain is happening within my awareness. The pain still exists, but the suffering around it dissolves, because suffering is the psychological resistance to what is. When resistance fades, pain loses its sharpness. It simply becomes a sensation, sometimes intense, sometimes soft, but always temporary. Desire also transforms. For most people, desire is a relentless force, pushing them from one moment to the next, always seeking something more, something better, something different. They live in a constant cycle of wanting, achieving, enjoying, losing, and then wanting again. This never-ending hunger creates a deep sense of lack. But when you step through the forbidden gate, you learn that desire is not wrong. It is simply energy moving through consciousness. You begin to watch it without being enslaved by it. You understand that you do not need to suppress desire. You only need to stop believing that your happiness depends on fulfilling it. When fear, pain, and desire are no longer personal, your inner world becomes spacious. Emotions still arise: joy, sadness, excitement, frustration, but they come and go like clouds passing through a clear sky. The sky is unaffected. You realize that you are the sky, not the clouds. This is the beginning of true freedom. You do not escape life. You simply stop confusing temporary experiences with your true identity. This transformation also changes how you respond to challenges. Instead of reacting impulsively, you observe calmly. Instead of judging, you understand. Instead of resisting, you allow. This does not make you passive, it makes you powerful. Because true power is not the ability to control what happens, it is the ability to remain centered regardless of what happens. When you stop fighting reality, reality stops feeling like an enemy. Life becomes a partner, guiding, teaching, unfolding. One of the most profound shifts is in how you view other people. When you no longer feel ruled by your own emotions, you stop projecting your pain onto others. You begin to see that every person is acting from their own inner struggles, fears, and misunderstandings. Their anger, jealousy, judgment, or coldness is not about you. It is about what is unresolved within them. This realization naturally brings compassion. You no longer take things personally because you no longer see yourself as separate from others. Their suffering is not different from yours. It is simply another expression of the same human experience. And because you no longer feel threatened by life, gratitude emerges. You recognize that every experience, pleasant or painful, is an opportunity to grow, to awaken, to deepen your understanding. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" Even difficulty becomes valuable because you know it cannot harm who you truly are. This shift is not about escaping emotion or living without feeling. It is about experiencing everything fully without being consumed by it. You still love deeply, care deeply, laugh loudly, and feel the richness of being alive. But nothing sticks. Nothing leaves a scar. Emotions pass through freely because there is no inner resistance. The heart becomes open, not guarded. The mind becomes clear, not chaotic. This is why the wise speak of liberation. Liberation is not running away from life. It is living life without fear. It is feeling emotion without drowning in it. It is acting without being controlled by desire. It is experiencing pain without collapsing into suffering. When the identity shifts from the limited self to the boundless awareness behind all experiences, the chains fall away. When you stand on the other side of the gate, you realize that nothing outside of you ever had power over you. The only thing that kept you trapped was the belief that you were separate, small, and powerless. The moment that illusion dissolves, fear disappears, desire quiets, pain softens, and you feel an inner stillness that cannot be shaken by anything in the world. You discover that the true source of peace has always lived within you, waiting to be recognized. When mind and universe become one, creation begins. When you step through the forbidden gate and the illusion of separation dissolves, you begin to understand something extraordinary. Creation is not something that happens outside of you, it is something that happens through you. At the deepest level, the universe is not a physical machine blindly moving through time. It is a living field of consciousness, responding continuously to intention. The moment your inner world and the vast field of the universe align and become one, you enter a state of effortless creation. Your thoughts stop being random or chaotic. They become organized currents of energy that shape reality. Most people try to change their lives by manipulating the outer world, working harder, chasing goals, forcing outcomes, struggling for control. But this approach comes from the belief that the world is separate from the self. When you cross the gate, you discover that the real movement begins not outside, but inside. The outer world is only a mirror reflecting the state of your inner consciousness. When the mind is fragmented, anxious, and confused, life feels chaotic and difficult. When the mind becomes clear, coherent, and aligned, reality begins to organize itself around you naturally. This is why intention is so powerful. Intention is not merely a thought, it is a thought fused with awareness, emotion, and presence. When your intention arises from the deeper, unified field, rather than from the ego, it carries immense creative energy. It does not need to be forced, it simply unfolds, because the universe responds to the quality of consciousness behind it. At this level, life stops feeling like a struggle and begins to feel like a gentle current guiding you toward what is meant for you. The people who create effortlessly, those who seem to manifest opportunities, relationships, and resources with ease are not lucky. They are aligned. Their inner state matches what they desire, so the outer world reflects it. This is why ancient teachings say, "As within, so without." The universe cannot give you what you are not prepared to hold within yourself. If you seek love but live in fear, your energy will repel love. If you seek abundance but feel unworthy, your energy will block abundance. But when the inner self becomes unified, peaceful, and receptive, life begins to respond in ways that feel almost magical. This is the heart of true manifestation, not wishing, begging, or forcing, but becoming. You do not try to attract abundance, you become abundant in your inner state, grateful, fulfilled, complete, and abundance flows into your life naturally. You do not chase peace, you become peace, and situations that disrupt peace fall away. You do not run after love, you become love, and loving people appear. This does not happen because the universe suddenly favors you. It happens because you are no longer working against the flow of reality. When mind and universe become one, desire transforms into direction. Your desires no longer come from insecurity or ego, but from a deeper intelligence. They are not driven by fear or lack. They arise from alignment with your true nature and purpose. These inner movements feel calm, steady, and unforced, more like being called than wanting. You no longer ask, "How will this happen?" You simply know that what is meant for you will unfold as long as you stay aligned, attentive, and open. This state of unified consciousness changes how you act. You still take steps, make decisions, and participate in the world, but you do so without anxiety. Action arises naturally, without inner conflict. You do not struggle against life, you cooperate with it. You follow intuition, that quiet guidance that comes from beyond the thinking mind. Intuition becomes stronger because you are no longer distracted by the noise of fear, doubt, or overthinking. You listen inwardly, knowing that guidance does not come from logic alone, but from the deeper field in which all possibilities already exist. In this state, synchronicities become common, meaningful events that seem coincidental but are anything but random. You think about a person you need to contact, and they call. You consider a new path, and an opportunity appears. You look for guidance, and the right teacher or lesson shows up. These moments are not accidents. They are the universe responding to your inner signal. When your consciousness is aligned with the quantum field, the field arranges reality around your intentions. Creation at this level is not loud, it is quiet. It does not feel like forcing or chasing. It feels like allowing and receiving. You stop running behind life. Instead, life begins moving toward you. You realize that what you once called miracles are simply the natural behavior of the universe when the mind is no longer in resistance. You begin to understand that separation was the only barrier, and now that it is gone, creation flows through you like breath. This unity also gives rise to humility. When you recognize that creation happens through you, not by you, there is no need for pride or control. You are not the owner of the power, you are the expression of it. You do not claim credit, you feel grateful. You realize that every creation is a dance between consciousness and form, between the formless and the world of matter. You are a participant, a channel, a bridge, not the source itself. That source is the infinite field, and because you know the source is within you, fear of the unknown fades. You trust life because you trust yourself, not the small self of personality, but the deeper self aligned with universal intelligence. You feel guided, supported, and connected. Even when challenges arise, you do not collapse into panic. You understand that challenges are transitions, not punishments, bridges to the next stage, not walls. Everything becomes meaningful. Everything becomes part of a greater unfolding. When mind and universe become one, life becomes art, not random chaos, but intentional expression. Every thought, emotion, and action becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of existence. You stop trying to control every detail and instead allow the creation to reveal itself, step by step. You realize that the universe is not separate from you. It is expressing itself through you, just as you are expressing yourself through it. This is the real beginning of creation, not the physical construction of things, but the recognition that you and the universe are inseparable partners in a single dance. You are both the wave and the ocean. When you create, the universe creates. When you align, the universe aligns. When you open, the universe flows. In this state, life stops being a struggle and becomes a symphony, a perfect balance of intention and surrender, vision and trust, action and stillness. And this is where true power lives. Not in force, but in harmony. Not in separation, but in unity. When mind and universe become one, you become the doorway through which creation enters the world. As the journey through the forbidden gate reaches its final moment, a quiet but powerful truth begins to reveal itself. The truth that everything you were seeking was never somewhere far away, beyond the mountains, hidden in the stars, or buried in ancient scriptures. It was always here, within the depth of your own awareness. The path was never about traveling outward, it was about turning inward, peeling away layers of conditioning, fear, and belief, until only pure consciousness remained. You begin to understand that there was never a moment when you were truly disconnected from the universe. The sense of separation, the feeling of being a small individual struggling against a vast external world, was only an illusion created by the mind. It was a story, convincing, persistent, deeply ingrained, but still just a story. Once that story dissolves, you see clearly that you are not a fragment of the universe trying to find your place in it. You are the universe expressing itself through the temporary form of a human being. The gate, which once felt mysterious and distant, becomes familiar. You realize it is not a portal to another realm, but a shift in perception, a remembering. You do not become something new when you cross it. You remember what you have always been. The seeker, the path, and the destination merge into one. The journey that felt long and complex transforms into a single, simple recognition. You are awareness itself, and everything else is an expression moving within you. This understanding brings a peace that is not fragile or dependent on circumstances. It is not the peace that comes from everything going right. It is the peace that remains even when life moves unpredictably. It is a peace born from knowing that nothing can threaten who you truly are. The body may change, emotions may rise and fall, relationships may begin and end, fortunes may grow or disappear, but the awareness behind all of it remains untouched. It is steady, silent, and eternal. From this place, life becomes softer, kinder, and more meaningful. You no longer feel the need to control every outcome or resist every challenge. You learn to trust. You begin to understand that everything that enters your experience, every joy, every loss, every moment of confusion or clarity, is part of an unfolding intelligence much bigger than the personal mind. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to see every experience as guidance, as movement within the same universal field that you are a part of. And slowly, a new relationship with existence begins to take shape. You still live, work, love, and dream, but you are no longer driven by fear or lack. Instead, you move from presence, from inner alignment, from the quiet knowing that life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be experienced. You stop rushing to arrive somewhere because you see that you are already home. Every moment becomes enough. Every breath becomes sacred. You begin to see others differently too. Instead of viewing people as separate beings with competing desires, you see them as different expressions of the same consciousness. Their struggles no longer threaten you. They simply remind you of your own journey. Their joys become your joys. Compassion arises naturally, not because you are trying to be good, but because you recognize yourself in everyone. When someone suffers, it is not them suffering. It is consciousness experiencing another shape, another story. This dissolves judgment, softens the heart, and strengthens connection. Eventually, the greatest realization arises, the realization that nothing outside you ever held the key. Every teacher, every experience, every challenge, every moment of longing was pointing you toward a deeper truth. You are the gate. The door you spent your life looking for was never somewhere else. It was inside you as awareness, silence, and presence. And it opens not when you understand more, but when you release the belief that you were ever separate. This is the return, not to a place, but to yourself. Not to a new identity, but to the absence of identity. Not to something gained, but to what was always there. So, as you come to the end of this exploration, know that the journey is not over because the gate is always here, waiting for you to step through it again and again. Every moment offers the chance to remember. Every breath invites you back to presence. The universe is not outside, calling you forward. It is within, calling you home. You are not walking toward truth. You are truth, awakening to itself. You found the forbidden gate, not because you traveled far, but because you finally looked inward. Welcome home.